I never expected to find love in a storm when a single MOM took in a CEO. Our lives changed forever. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. The sky rumbled like an angry beast, clouds swirling in furious shades of gray. Rain lashed against the windows, but inside, my heart felt heavier than the storm outside. I sat on my couch, mind racing, thoughts jumbled like the thunder clashing outside. I was a successful CEO, yet here I was, feeling like a fraud. My career was prosperous, but my personal life was a wasteland. I felt lost. Then she appeared, Jenna, a single mom with tired eyes and a fierce spirit. The moment I saw her, standing at her front door, drenched from head to toe, something shifted inside me. She was everything I wasn't. Real, raw, and unguarded. With a weary smile, she let me in from the storm that felt like it was raging in my soul too. Her apartment was small but filled with pieces of her life. Crayon drawings of a little girl, cluttered toys, and the faint scent of cookies hung in the air. Those walls told stories of struggle and joy. I felt an inexplicable pull towards her. But I didn't know what this would mean for either of us. I knew she gazed at me with curiosity and caution. And when our eyes met, I held my breath. There was a spark there, as if the lightning outside echoed what was happening between us. Mysterious and electrifying. I could sense her fear, her doubts swirling just beneath the surface. I could see the way she glanced at her daughter's room, a blend of protectiveness and longing. What did she think of me? A corporate giant? A stranger? As we spoke through the roar of the storm, I learned about her struggles, the sacrifices she made for her little girl. Each word she shared felt like a soft thunderclap inside me, stirring something deep. She was vibrant, a light flickering in my monochrome existence. But just as I began to feel hope, a thunderous crash sounded outside. A tree fell, splintering on the ground just outside her window. I jumped, heart racing, knowing I had to act. Jenna's eyes widened in shock, and I felt the panic rise in my chest. Was it too late for me to offer protection? I grabbed her hand, trembling as I pulled her close. In that moment, surrounded by chaos, I was struck by the gravity of our situation. My life was already entwined with hers without me even realizing it. Suddenly, a loud knock echoed from the door, sending chills down my spine. Who could it be? My heart raced. Was it someone from my past? Someone who knew me? Just as Jenna stepped toward the door, I snagged her wrist, whispering, "Wait." The storm continued to rage outside, mirroring the tempest that had just started brewing inside me. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The door creaked open, unveiling a figure shrouded in shadows, drenched from the unrelenting rain. The faint light from the hallway cast a jagged silhouette, sharp and daunting. Jenna froze, her breath hitching. The chaos outside faded away momentarily, replaced by a suffocating stillness. I stepped forward instinctively, feeling the warmth of Jenna's hand slipping away. "It's okay," I murmured, although uncertainty clawed at my throat. "I'll handle this." But the moment I peered into the hallway, the world around me narrowed to just one person. A woman stood there, her hair plastered against her forehead, eyeing me with a mix of confusion and recognition. It was Sarah's ex-wife. "What are you doing here?" I managed, the words tasting bitter on my tongue. "Isn't it obvious?" she replied, her voice sharp as glass. "I came to find you." I turned back to Jenna, desperately searching her face for understanding in the midst of this calamity. Her eyes widened, swirling with a blend of betrayal and fear. I could see the pieces of her life suddenly shifting, the fragile world she had built now trembling under the weight of secrets. I could feel the heartache thrumming between us, a melody of budding affection now discordant. "What do you want, Sarah?" I asked, struggling to maintain control over the tempest within me. A rush of memories flooded back, the good intertwined with the bitter. I need to talk, she said, the edge in her voice softening for a moment. Can we do this somewhere private? I watched Jenna as her fingers trembled against the doorway, torn between wanting distance from the confrontation and the urge to protect me from whatever storm Sarah was bringing. The anxiety in Jenna's eyes felt like a knife, slicing into the hope I had begun to nurture. I don't think you should be here, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. You need to leave. A flicker of hurt crossed Sarah's face, quickly masked by her determination. You can't just pretend I don't exist, Jake. We need to talk about Emily. Her words pierced through my resolve, dragging me back to the years of hollow conversations that had once filled our marriage with silence and regret. Emily, our daughter, the one thread connecting us that would never fray, no matter how far apart we drifted. Jenna swayed slightly, her gaze darting from Sarah to me, as though waiting for the storm inside to pass. It was the first time I noticed how protective she seemed of her own heart, a reflection of my own turmoil. The realization swept over me like a wave, drowning all rational thought. What about Emily? I asked, my heart racing with sudden urgency. She's been struggling, Jake. She misses you, Sarah replied, a sudden crack in her stern demeanor as her voice softened. We can't keep doing this, pretending like you don't care. There it was again, the blinding guilt. It churned violently in my stomach. Was I to be the father the little girl needed, or the man Jenna was starting to believe I could be? Faced with a tidal wave of emotions, I turned to Jenna, feeling her presence as comforting as it was terrifying. Jenna, I began, but the words evaporated, lost to the thunder rumbling outside and the pressure building between us. She took a half-step back, something clouding her expression. Was it doubt? Fear that I would choose my past over what we could build together. I needed to reassure her, yet my past loomed like the storm itself, dark and unyielding. Why don't you come inside, Sarah? Jenna's voice interjected, calm but firm. I flinched at the unexpected kindness. You can explain yourself here, but only if Jake is okay with it. I watched Jenna's courage as she gestured for Sarah to step inside, a fierce protector in the eye of the storm. I wanted to scream for her to stop, to shield her from the fallout that was surely about to unfold. It felt cruel to allow this confrontation to happen within the sanctuary she had carved out of chaos. Are you sure? I whispered to Jenna, fear clawing up my throat. Her eyes met mine, determination blazing in the depths of those tired, yet strong, irises. I'm sure, she said, quietly, yet I could hear the unspoken words beneath, the hope that our fragile connection might weather this storm together. But as Sarah stepped inside, the door creaked ominously, sealing us all in. Just then, a distant siren wailed from the streets, a haunting reminder of how quickly even a protected moment could spiral into chaos. My heart raced alongside the roar of the wind, uncertainty taking root in the space between us. The love I thought was blossoming felt heavy now, tangled with the past and frayed at the edges, and I wondered if whatever light could emerge from this darkness was worth the price we would all have to pay. As the door shut behind Sarah, I steeled myself for whatever revelation awaited us. The air became thick with unspoken truths, and in that moment, I realized that the real storm was just beginning. The tension hung palpably in the room as Sarah crossed the threshold, her expression a blend of desperation and defiance. Jenna stood slightly ahead of me, her posture conflating strength with vulnerability. I wasn't sure whether to feel gratitude for her defiance or dread for what we were inviting into our fragile space. Please, can we just sit down? Sarah implored, glancing at Jenna, then back to me, eyes wide with anxiety. I didn't come here to fight. Then why did you come? I asked, an edge to my tone that echoed my inner turmoil. What's so urgent that it couldn't wait for another day? Another life? Emily needs us, was all she replied, her voice hitching slightly. The mention of our daughter tore through the barricade I had built to shield myself from the past. I didn't want to be here, navigating these stormy waters again, but the reality was that Emily was at the center of it all. She had been the tether that pulled me back into the mess I thought I could escape. Jenna shifted beside me, assessing, trying to decode the emotions raging underneath the surface. I could see her inhaling deeply, gathering composure, before directing her focus on Sarah. What about Emily? She's been withdrawn, and I thought if you were both in the same room it might help. She needs to know she isn't alone in this, Sarah replied, her expression softening as she talked about our daughter. I can't keep pretending that we can just move on. The plea in her voice sent daggers of pain through my heart. I could almost see Emily's small frame curled up on the sofa, eyes glued to the TV, counting the moments as they slipped by, moments filled with silence that screamed loudly in her absence. Jenna's expression softened momentarily. It's a lot for any child to bear, especially when things are so. She hesitated, searching for the right word. Uncertain. Exactly, Sarah exclaimed, suddenly earnest. I know I wasn't the greatest partner, but I was her mom. I want to be a good parent, for both of you. This is the hardest thing I've had to do. I can't carry it alone anymore. Jenna's resolute eyes flickered towards mine, and I caught a glimpse of something hopeful amidst the heartbreak. Perhaps there was room for everyone in this story, a chance for healing and understanding, even from the remnants of a past that still clung like shadows. But that flicker sprouted doubts. Could we really navigate this lingering responsibility together? I felt the fear of giving in to the past mingle with the dare of embracing a future that felt uncertain and heavily freighted. What are you asking me to do, Sarah? I said, pushing through the weight in my chest, my voice steadier now. You want me to step back in? Sweep everything under the rug? Act like it's okay? In some way it will never be okay, she replied, her eyes brimming with sincerity. But Emily needs to know her father still loves her. No matter what happens between us, she's our daughter. We can both be there for her even if it means sharing that space with each other. Jenna squeezed my hand lightly, her warmth a grounding presence amidst the chaos swirling in my mind. Here she was, standing beside me even while I grappled with the aftershocks of decisions made long ago. The way she leaned into the truth resonated deeply, captivating my heart, steadying me through my storm. Maybe we should involve Emily in this conversation, Jenna suggested, her voice a gentle nudge towards a clearer path. She deserves to understand where we all stand. It may be messy, but sometimes the hardest things to face can set us free. I nodded, uncertainty merging with fleeting hope. Could this be the light I'd been searching for, even if it came accompanied by the shadows I thought I could escape? Just then, the air shifted, ominously, black clouds crashing outside as if nature wished to emphasize the madness unfolding within our four walls. Yet, within that turmoil, I found a sliver of courage when my phone buzzed, illuminated by the darkened light. A message came through. I glanced at it, the words striking fear straight through me. Jake, it's Emily. I need to talk. Can you come home now? My heart plummeted into the abyss of dread, those innocent words crashing against my resolve like waves on a shore. Not now. Please, I whispered into the fragile silence, looking at Jenna, seeing the mixture of anxiety and determination flit across her face. Alone, that girl was holding together the pieces of our world, and it now felt as if the storm wasn't outside but within. I swallowed hard, realizing that this moment could either be our undoing or the beginning of a new chapter. But before I could respond, Jenna took a brave step forward, as if sensing the shifting tides. What if we were all talking together? Right now? Sarah's eyes widened, but there was something hopeful there too, fierce and maternal. I'm willing if you both are. And as the weight of my choices hung heavier in the air, another thought pierced through that resolve. If I stepped into this chaos beside Jenna, would I be strong enough to face the truth, no matter how painful it might be? Just then, a loud crack of thunder echoed, her voice melding into the chaos of the storm as I made my choice. But deep down, I feared what awaited me at home and what I might still need to confront. The rain fell like a relentless heartbeat outside, each drop a reminder of the storm brewing within. I stood frozen at the precipice of several choices, each one heavy with significance. The silence in the room now felt like a fragile membrane, teetering on the brink of shattering. Are we really going to do this? I finally asked, the tension laced in my voice. What if she doesn't want to talk? What if she shuts us out even more? Sarah exchanged a glance with Jenna, a fleeting moment of uncertainty clouding her features. If we don't try, she'll never know we care. I won't let our silence fill her heart with doubt about our love for her. A pang of guilt washed over me, mingling with the swirling vortex of fear and anticipation. I was supposed to be a rock for Emily, yet here I was, buckling under the weight of my own unresolved issues. What sort of example was I setting? Sensing my hesitation, Jenna stepped closer and gently brushed her fingers across my wrist, grounding me while subtly reminding me of the bond we had formed over the last few months. We don't know what she feels, but letting her into our conversation might show her she's not alone. No matter how complicated things are. I studied Jenna's face, seeking solace in the determination radiating from her. There was a quiet strength there, a reminder that even in the darkest of storms, the possibility of warmth existed. All right, I finally replied, my voice steadied with purpose. Let's do it. Let's go home. As we stepped out into the storm, I felt a chill crawl up my spine, but Jenna's hand in mine was a beacon, tethering me as we made our way toward the car. The drive back was cocooned in silence, punctuated only by the patter of rain on the roof and the occasional rumble of thunder rolling in the distance. The echoes of all our pasts weighed heavily, yet somehow, I could feel a soft flicker of hope igniting in my chest, and for the first time in a long while, I longed to believe that perhaps we could navigate our broken paths together. Once at home, I opened the door and was greeted by anomalous quiet. "Ing?" I called into the shadows, conjuring her name like a spell, hoping to animate the still air. A chill swept through me at the thought of finding her alone, lost in the turmoil that had become her life. "Emily!" Sarah's voice rang out, weaving through the silence like a thin string unraveling a web of uncertainty. And then we heard Ida's muffled sound, a sob creeping from the living room. My heart shattered at the realization that our girl was suffering alone. Jenna's grip tightened on my hand, a reminder that I wasn't facing this alone, even if it felt as if the ground beneath us was trembling. We moved toward the living room, the tension coiling around us like the fog of the storm outside. I felt a rush of dread and urgency wash over me, propelling me forward. I found her curled on the couch, knees drawn tight to her chest and eyes red from crying. She looked up, pools of hurt staring back at me as if I was a stranger instead of her father to them. I whispered, kneeling beside her, "Can we talk?" She turned her head slightly, refusing to meet my gaze, and I felt the sting of her rejection in my chest. There, in the balance of that moment, I realized that no amount of love or longing could heal the wounds we had all endured alone. "Please, sweetheart," Jenna interjected softly, kneeling down on the opposite side. "We're all here because we care about you. We want to help." Emily looked between us, confusion and mistrust swirling in her eyes. "Help? You don't even live here. You don't know what it's like." Her voice trembled, the hurt spilling over, heavy with the burden expected of a child grappling with adult emotions. I squeezed Jenna's hand tighter, struggling to find the right words. "You're right," I admitted, the honesty crashing over me like waves. "But I want to understand. I want to listen. I love you, Em." The sobs started again, and with them, her battle began, an interior war of conflict surfacing in jagged breaths that filled the air with pain. "You love me?" she echoed incredulously, dropping her head to hide her face in her knees. "Then why did it all go wrong?" I was about to respond when Sarah, standing silently by the doorway, stepped forward, her face pale and haunted. "There's something you need to know," she said, her voice shaking as much as the ground beneath us. "It's about the day we separated." I didn't tell you everything. That a gasping silence swallowed the room, and the air thickened with tension. My heart pounded, panic clawing at my throat. What could possibly shatter the remnants of our already fractured lives more than they had been? "What do you mean?" I asked, but the fear in my tone bespoke an understanding that this wasn't just about Emily anymore. Sarah's lips trembled, her gaze darting nervously to the floor before finally locking onto mine. "It was my fault," she whispered. "I didn't just leave. I made a choice that day, and if I hadn't, the thunder roared once more, and I felt the walls closing in, the storm raging on the outside merging with the tempest unfolding within our fragile circle. All I could do was stand there, heart pounding as her revelation hovered, ready to split the very seams of our already fragile reality. And as Emily curled deeper into her cocoon, tears still streaming, it dawned on me. Perhaps some truths shatter us, but the shards can also create light. But first, everything must break apart before we can begin to hope again. The storm outside mirrored the brewing chaos within us, heavy and oppressive, as we stood on the brink of revelations that threatened to tear us asunder. Sarah's words hung in the air like a lead weight, and the silence stretched, taut with unspoken truths. I felt my world shifting, its foundations trembling. Emily's sobs subsided briefly, the sound transforming into a heart-wrenching whimper, her fragile body shaking on the couch. I willed myself to focus on her, to acknowledge her pain while my own heart felt lodged somewhere in my throat. "What do you mean, Sarah?" I finally managed to say, desperate to maintain the fragile thread of connection with Emily. I allowed everything to fall apart. Sarah whispered. "There was a moment when I could have fought for all of us. Instead, I backed down. I let the fear of our situation consume me, and I failed you both." Emily's head snapped up, disbelief mingling with anger. You think this is about you?" she snapped, wiping her tears with angry swipes. "You left us. You made your choice." "Emily, please let her speak," I urged, my voice steadying in the storm of emotions. "I know we're all hurting right now, but we need to listen." Jenna squeezed my hand, silently urging me on. I could feel the weight of her support, reminding me that despite the impending storm, there existed a flicker of possibility that we could emerge stronger. As Sarah took a deep breath, her eyes glistening with unshed tears, I realized that in this very moment, we had the chance to confront our past and perhaps carve out a different path for our future. "The last thing I wanted was for you both to feel abandoned," Sarah said, her voice cracking. "When everything began to crumble, I convinced myself that leaving was the best option. I had convinced myself that I was protecting you from my mistakes." Emily's face twisted, resentment bleeding into her features. "You don't get to decide what's best for me. For us." She stood abruptly, her emotions pouring forth like the rain pounding against the roof. "If it's so bad being around us, why did you come back?" The words hit Sarah like a slap, and I flinched at the raw intensity of them. A flicker of vulnerability darted across Sarah's face, and I could see it was grappling with the weight of her regrets, not just toward Emily but directed at herself. "Because I realized I was wrong. I was scared, but you both deserved more than I gave you." I came back hoping her voice trailed off, and the silence held her words suspended in a delicate balance. "Hope for what?" Emily shot back, her fury mixed with an undercurrent of desperation. "To ruin everything again? Or to start over?" I said softly, feeling the fragile thread connecting us all fray at the edges, yet willing myself to step into the tension. "We can't ignore our pain, but perhaps we can choose to confront it together. Maybe it doesn't have to be us against each other anymore." My heart ached as I looked from Emily, still so lost, to Sarah, whose expression was a page of sorrow and awakening. I had spent so long shielding my girl from heartache, hoping to be her protector against the storms, but maybe the real shelter lay in allowing ourselves to be vulnerable with one another. The house groaned, the storm outside having intensified, and a particularly loud clap of thunder reverberated through the room. A moment later, the lights flickered and went out, plunging us into darkness. I could hear Emily's sudden intake of breath, her quiet anxiety intensifying in the absence of light. I said, my heart racing. "It's okay. We're here. Hold my hand." Before I could reach out, Jenna had already taken Emily's other hand, creating a small circle of connection. "You're not alone," she reminded softly. "We're all feeling lost right now, but let's find our way back together." I in the enveloping darkness, as we grasped tightly onto each other. I couldn't shake the feeling that the storm above was both a shield and a metaphor for our current state. It raged outside and threatened to consume us, but within the chaos, flickers of hope pulsed like lightning in the distance. Then came the knock at the door, a sudden interruption, an echo amid our fragile moment, reverberating through the storm-laden air. My stomach dropped. Who could be arriving at a time like this? Is anyone home? A voice called out. Familiar yet unexpected, a voice that simultaneously filled me with dread and a surge of yearning. Rachel, I murmured, the name spilling from my lips as if it were a secret I had buried deep. Memories of our time together, moments of laughter and warmth, flooded back, swirling in with the chaos. And now, all I felt was a cold, creeping fear. What could this uninvited reunion signify in our already fractured world? Emily let go of my hand, the tension redirected to the door, each heartbeat a countdown to the unknown. As I moved to answer, a part of me wondered if some storms not only reveal who we really are but can also bring back those we thought we had long lost. The wind howled outside, a haunting wail that matched the rising tide of confusion and uncertainty within me as I hesitated at the door. Rachel's voice lingered like an uninvited guest in my mind, opening a vault of emotions I had thought were weathered by time. With a deep breath, I twisted the knob and peeled open the door, blinking against the sudden flash of light from a nearby lightning strike. There she stood, drenched, her hair slicked back and her eyes wide with surprise. With her eyes on me, the storm felt muted, yet still crackled with potential. David. She breathed, an amalgam of relief and apprehension flickering across her face. I could feel the weight of time shrouding us like the darkness inside, a reminder of the words left unsaid and the paths not taken. Rachel was all I managed, my heart hammering in my chest as I took in her disheveled state, an echo of my own tumbling emotions. What brings you here? She looked past me, catching sight of Emily and Sarah amidst the flickering light of candles Jenna had hastily lit. I saw the storm and thought you might need some help, she stammered, an invitation and clarification that momentarily stilled my racing thoughts. But Emily wasn't ready for this unexpected twist in our already tumultuous night. Help? She echoed, arms crossed defiantly against her chest. You think we need help from you? I started, desperate to play peacemaker, my eyes darting between her fiery expression and Rachel's uneasy stance. Sarah and I are trying to figure things out here, and now you've brought your little reunion party into it. The tinge of hurt in her voice struck deeper than I anticipated. It was raw and exposed, emotions spilling over like the rain outside. Rachel blinked, the hurt evident in her own eyes, but she held her ground. I know what happened between us, and I won't pretend it didn't hurt us both. But I can't ignore the concern I felt when I heard about everything you're facing now. You deserve support, David, and so does your family. A silence fell, thick as the pressing humidity in the air. There was a certain grace in Rachel's words, a sincerity that tugged at the unraveling threads of my heart painfully. But Emily was still holding on to her anger, and who could blame her? This was her home, her sanctuary, now threatened by ghosts of my past. I would appreciate it if you left, Emily said firmly, her gaze unwavering. Our lives are already a storm. Emily, I said softly, stepping closer to her. Let's hear her out. If she's here, maybe it means something. I didn't choose to come back into your lives, but I can't stand by when you're going through such pain. Rachel interjected gently. Why now? Emily's voice cracked, that pent-up hurt spilling over like the rain cascading at our doorstep. It almost felt like a plea rather than an accusation, the ambience of the night soaking in every drip of emotion. Rachel's eyes met mine, their depth revealing a shared history of what once was. Because sometimes storms can bring us back together, if we let them. Her voice softened, carrying a hint of wistfulness. I wanted to see if I could help you weather this one. Why do you think we should let you? Emily's anger blazed again, firing at Rachel like a volley that demanded respect. But I sensed something deep, a flicker of pain in Rachel's eyes, a mirror to the turmoil within my own heart. I made mistakes, Emily. I know that. I hurt the people I cared about, and I regret it every single day. But I've learned from it, and I can share my strength. I want to be here for you. I felt Emily's tension shift against the intensity of Rachel's honesty. I also understood the bittersweet truth lingering between them. There was a chance, perhaps a fragile one, but a chance for something new to emerge from this chaos. With the wind shrieking angrily outside, I could feel new connections shimmering just out of reach. Like you helped your own family? Emily pressed, her disbelief still heavy in the air. Not everyone does it perfectly, but we try, Rachel responded, her voice steady despite the turmoil churning around us. You deserve someone who won't run away when things get hard. Maybe we can all try to forge something out of the storm together. And then it happened. A gust of wind surged through the open door, snuffing out a few flickering candles and plunging the room into dim shadows. In the ensuing silence, something shifted within me. The storm outside didn't just threaten destruction. It also promised a new beginning, if we dared to let it. Can we at least talk? I asked, a quiet challenge to the heaviness of the moment. If we're going to survive this, we need to open ourselves up and face each other, all of us. There, amidst the shadows, I noticed Emily's fist slowly unclenching, a tiny spark of uncertainty mixed with curiosity flickering in her eyes. As the rain pounded around us, perhaps beginnings could be born from endings, and love could be found in the chaos after all. But just as hope glimmered in the dim light, the sudden resounding crack of thunder shook the house, throwing everything into darkness again. My heart raced, uncertainty clawing at my insides as I braced for whatever revelation awaited us next, knowing that the jagged edges of our hearts remained as fragile as the flickering candle flame. As the thunder roared outside, silence enveloped us like a heavy blanket, casting shadows that stretched along the walls and creased the air with palpable tension. I heard the sound of my own breath mingling with the distant patter of rain, an involuntary rhythm that seemed to mirror my escalating heartbeat. The moment hung thick with uncertainty. Neither Rachel nor Emily was ready to break it. Can we at least talk? I repeated, my voice barely rising above a whisper. I don't see how anything you say will change anything. David, Emily shot back, her eyes glistening with unshed tears, reflecting a mix of hurt and defiance. But beneath that anger, I saw a trembling vulnerability, a glimmer of the connection we once shared.